That's Delta. Flying Delta.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Just goofing off from the last down. It was a good times, good laughs. But we were right back at it again with the third down. Now we are going to be talking about the Rams transition to the 3-4 defense. Tim, Fogmate, Dula, Josh, what's good?
Yeah, I don't like the move only because Aaron Donald, when being drafted, there were scouts saying that he only fits a 4-3 defense. He'd be too small to play nose, in my opinion. He's too big to play linebacker. Now, I just want to read something to you guys real fast. It says, the 3-4 defense consists of 3 defensive linemen, 2 defensive ends, and 1 nose tackle, and 4 linebackers. But unlike the 4-3 fronts we talked about last week, these 3-4 defensive linemen aren't built to use speed, quickness to penetrate the gaps, edges of the line, such as a 3-technique defensive tackle or the rush end in the 4-3. In the 3-4 front, you want to think of size and length along the defensive line, J.J. Watt, Haloti Ngata, with the ability to occupy space from the offensive lineman. That frees up the inside linebacker and allows them to run to the football, while 2 outside linebackers in the 3-4 makes plays at the edge defenders out of a stand-up 2 front stance. Now, what that means for me, okay, is that you want Aaron Donald, who's averaged 9 sacks a year, because his total is 28 in a 4-3 defense. Now you're going to a 3-4. He's too small to play defensive end. He's too small to play nose tackle. He's too big to play a linebacker. So you want the Rams' best rusher, who led the league in sacks, to now hold up, so that way the linebackers can make plays. Here's the thing, Rams, and I know Wade Phillips is coaching the defense. It's not going to work. This will not work. You might as well find a trade partner right now. You can get a whole lot for Aaron Donald. He's not going to get 9 sacks in this 3-4 defense. I'm sorry, not big enough.
It's interesting because, like you said, in the 3-4, the single defensive tackle lines over the center, as opposed, all 3 linemen are responsible for 2 gaps as opposed to 1 in a 4-3. So as a foundation, it's much more demanding on the defensive line, like you say. But that's why players like J.J. Watt are so special. And at the same time, they're so unstoppable because it allows the defenses the freedom that they just don't get otherwise. But what's interesting with Wade Phillips' scheme, he runs a 3-4, but his scheme is like a 3-4-1 gap defense. It's not exactly a 3-4 defense that we're accustomed to seeing on paper. Phillips was quoted in like an NFL interview stating when he started out, it was a 2-gap defense. The DEs, they basically had to play 2-gap and be able to rush the pass. And that's a hard thing to do. So in Phillips' mind, if a player can't function the typical 2-gap responsibility, he doesn't have to. He's basically like the anti-Jeff Fisher, if you want to classify it as that. Phillips, he moves players around as long as they have the skill to be in that certain position. His philosophy is more so, the player shouldn't be forced to contain 2 gaps, but instead attack the offense. So in his scheme, it would allow someone like Aaron Donald to line up anywhere on the defensive line. Same with Brockers. It opens up potential moves like Ogletree to the strong side, where he has more space in moving Quinn to Ogletree's position, where he can blitz between Donald and Brockers instead of lining up as the wide jack linebacker. This defense would be able to utilize both players' strengths, rushing Quinn and letting Ogletree use his athletic talent to cover the weak side, where he was successful before he transitioned to the middle. And then when you have players like Mark Barron and they just got TJ McDonald and even Ogletree having safety experience with TJ McDonald in the second half of the year, this also gives the Rams freedom to disguise a lot of their blitz packages and everything. So it will be very intriguing, but it really is going to be hampering a lot on Robert Quinn and Ogletree's play at the linebacker position when they move to this scheme, in my opinion.
You kind of took some of the wind out of my sails there, because you kind of you hit it on the head exactly. It's a one gap defense. So, for those that are listening, the difference between a two gap and a one gap is that in a two gap defense, your defensive linemen are basically responsible for two gaps, right? Gaps
Right.
being the holes that are the natural holes that are left by the offensive linemen. So what they have to do is when that ball is snapped, they have to read and pick a gap to occupy, and they have to be in a tandem. With a one gap defense, you're responsible for one gap, and your linebackers are playing cleanup. Basically, it allows them to then say, Aaron Donald, you can still line up as a 3-tech and rush that gap, or you can line up as a 5-tech, or you see some teams doing it. You see the Jets, for example. The Jets they play a 3-4, but they have Sheldon Richardson, Mo Wilkerson, Leonard Williams. So what they do is they come out with a nose tackle, a 3-tech, and a 5-tech DE, and move those guys around and put them in positions to succeed. Aaron Donald isn't my concern. My concern is Robert Quinn, who has to become a 3-4 outside linebacker. My bigger concern is Mark Barron, who, if you forget, Mark Barron was a strong safety at Alabama and was drafted as a strong safety, and the Rams moved him to linebacker in that 4-3 on the weak side. Now he has to move inside. What does that mean? That means he's going to be getting hit by guards a lot more often. It's a one-gap defense, so he's playing cleanup. I don't know how they're going to work around that. That's my only shtick about this defense. I think Aaron Donald will be fine. I think Aaron Donald will. I'm not going to say he's J.J. Watt, but I think he'll have an impact where they line him up at and say, "Hey, you attack that gap and do it each and every time." I just look at their linebackers and say they got to do something about that. They got to scheme around that because Mark Barron is, I think, 6 feet, like 220. I don't like that as an inside linebacker.
That'll be bigger. Mm-hmm.
I have nothing. Dylan, Josh said everything.
Damn, my bad. I'm gonna let you guys go second from now on.
They wrapped it up. Well, no, because it's not that often that you're able to do this, Josh. Cut it out.
Nah, I mean, listen, my only. Go, I'm sorry, Fly, go ahead.
Nah, they're 100% right. Aaron Donald's going to be fine. The question is everybody around him.
You see, like, my thing is this. I like what Dilla said when it comes to Muhammad Wilkerson, Sheldon Richardson, and the other guy. Leonard Williams. Excuse me. I love how he said with those three guys, how you move them around and they're able to do the thing they do. But the difference between those guys and Aaron Donald's only 6 feet 285. I'm around Aaron Donald's size. I'm playing against an offensive line who was 6'7", 6'5". Basically now, and again, as a nose tackle, I understand what Dell is saying. I just think he's too small to do the things they're gonna try for him to do. And I also agree what he said about the linebacker spot. Mark Barron is too small. Okay, now they just went out and signed what's his name from the Philadelphia Eagles, Connor Barwin. Why? Because he's an experienced 3-4 guy. Okay, the defensive end, what's his name? Going blank here.
From what team?
From the Rams.
William Hayes?
No, not William Hayes. Della, what's his name again?
The Robert Quinn?
Robert Quinn.
Brockers?
That's another.
Okay.
Quinn?
Yeah, Robert Quinn,
Okay.
94. Another concern. Now his cap money is very large. That's another guy who they may have to want to think about trading. The 3-4 defense. When I remember when Bill Parcells, when he went over to Dallas, and we had Dexter Coakley and that way who are 4-3 guys. He cuts them. You got to draft your three. You want your linebackers bigger. You want pass rushers. Your guys up front who are be able to create the space or whatever scheme you want to run with them. You want them in that 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" range. 6 feet, regardless of how much you move Aaron Donald around, he's never experienced it, not even in college. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be, and not only that. Remember, this is the 5th year option. So you, as a general manager, you're sitting there. Oh well, he got 28 sacks. He got a 4.3. And if you don't see the production, are you gonna trade him? You're gonna trade him? Are you gonna give him a big contract? I wouldn't even tell you the truth. You know,
I don't think Tim. I don't think that should be an issue. His performance the last the last 3 years speak for themselves.
Because as a
4.3.
No, here's the thing though. As in a 4.3
again.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Fogg.
No, he already has shown his production and his capability in a 4.3. So if someone's gonna want him after this, they'll pay him the damn money because they know what he can produce, Tim.
Okay.
This is not gonna affect his money at all.
So, and I'll take it a step further. He's a 3-tech defensive tackle, right? Mm-hmm. That means he's been taking on guards and centers this whole time, and he's been dominating them. He's been eating their lunch each and every time. And you move to a 3-4 where we just talked about he'll probably be the right defensive end. That means he'll play the 3 or the 5 or even the 7-tech and still go against guards and some tackles and still dominate them. I get that he's 6 feet tall. I get that at 280, you'd like a little heavier, but you mentioned Bill Parcells, and I'm glad you did that because Bill Parcells, if I'm not mistaken, ran that 2-gap 3-4 defense where Aaron Donald wasn't a fit. That's why he went out and got Marcus Spears, who was a big boy. That's why he got DeMarcus Ware to play that outside linebacker and then got Bobby Carpenter the following year. Because in that defense, you needed those defensive linemen. That's why he had to move. Who was it? Greg Ellis. He had to move to outside linebacker because when you're in that 2-gap, you do need to be 300 pounds. But if you're playing a 1-gap, 3-4, you can get away with being a smaller guy. You just move. You move closer to the center.
You want to know why I love you guys? You want to know why I appreciate that in this brotherhood we have here. We have our great opinions. We also got draft gurus. Fogmeg, Dulla, Josh. I want to read something to y'all. This is from the NFL draft. This is a scout. Okay. The hesitation with him in a 3-4 would be his height, 6 feet. And that is probably why he fell out of the top in the draft. Last year, even 14 with a 4-3 defense. I asked John Fox what he saw in the 3-4 defensive end. And he was at the owners' meeting back in the spring. He said the idea what you'll be getting is a longer 3 technique to play the spot. Donald isn't longer. Now, here's the thing. I'm going back to the NFL draft where they all said when you have a guy who can play one position only, and that means during the NFL draft time, he's being worked out in different schemes to see what he can do. Man can only play the 4-3, which he was great at it. They tried him out in the 3-4. Now, here's the thing. I've always said you cannot predict the future on a player. You're right. We got to see how he plays. I'm just saying if you can name me one person who has played in the 3-4 and that height and that waist size and dominated, please tell me. I have not seen anybody 6 feet 285. Kind of too small. That's very
Well, I'll
small.
do you one better. Name me a player in a 4-3 at 6 feet 285 that's dominated at defensive tackle.
But here's the thing. Everybody from the 4. See, here's the thing. I've always said this: if you're a 3-4 team and you're gonna translate to a 4-3 the next year, normally your 4-3, your 3-4 guys are bigger. So basically, it's easy to transition. Then you're being a 4-3 team and you're going to 3-4. Why? Because guys like Greg Ellis, guys like my man from NFL Network or McGinnis, they didn't want to stand up. They had their hand in the dirt playing the 4-3 ends. And the minute they said 3-4, oh, I don't want to play. I don't want to be a linebacker. I don't want to have to cover the tight end. I am a pass rusher. So when you go from a 4-3 to a 3-4, you got guys who are not built for the position. Hey, Fogman, ain't there a guy in Philadelphia Eagles right now that Chip Kelly was so smart to think he's so smart to draft that now you're trying to get rid of him? Ain't there a linebacker where they trying to 3-4 and he's only 6 feet? I paid him $7 million.
Unfortunately, they do have that, but he's not as talented.
Okay, but here's the thing: the scouts said it the day before he got drafted. Do not draft him in the 3-4. He's 6 feet, 280, 250 something. What the Eagles, what did Chip Kelly do? No, anybody can play his scheme. You put him there. The man was out every 2 weeks and still got $7 million. And now the Eagles are trying to trade him. Size does matter in different schemes. If the Giants right now will go to 3-4, are we saying that Jason Pierre-Paul is going to be a nose tackle or defensive end, taking double teams, taking on space or play linebacker? I think not.
So you listen, size matters, but talent supersedes all of it. If you are a dominant player, you can listen. If Wade Phillips is the guru that he is, he will find a way to have Aaron Donald wreak havoc, even if that means lining him up where he's been.
Okay, can we talk about Denver Broncos defense? How they if we look at Denver Broncos,
add in that Aaron Donald is listed at 6'1". You can argue 6 foot, that's fine, but you can also go to the other side of Cincinnati. Geno Atkins, he's 6'1" and he dominates in the 3-4.
6 foot, but what's his size? What's his weight?
302.
302, yeah.
Okay, I mean,
there's absolutely no question. I mean, let me tell you about the first thought or memory that I ever have of Aaron Donald. It was about this time 3 years ago when NFL Network is displaying pro days and workouts. I can remember Aaron Donald actually taught the Rams their own lesson, and they ignored it. In the 2014 draft or even the pro days workouts, Aaron Donald was completely dominating. I mean, putting the top offensive tackle prospect in Greg Robinson on his ass every single rep. He was clearly dominating him, and it looked like he was going up against a D3 prospect. That's how bad it was. And the Rams still took Greg Robinson at number 2 overall when they had Jake Matthews there, Taylor Lewin, and who was the other one that was there? Arguably, Zach Martin. I mean, it was ever since that day in my mind, I was just like, holy crap, this Aaron Donald guy is going to be the real deal in the league. And I honestly, like Dula and Fox have reiterated, my concern isn't going to be with Donald. He's going to get his. He's going to get his tackles for loss, and he's still going to have, I would say, probably 8 to 9 sacks. It won't, maybe not double digits because the nose tackle is hard to get sacks, but at the same time, it really is going to be on the linebackers. And Ogletree, he showed struggling when Laurinaitis, kind of gave him that position. Right. Laurinaitis had the experience for like a decade in that position, and that's what plays a factor is when you have the experience in that 3-4 scheme as a linebacker. So
it's funny you said that, Josh. You know what's funny? Greg Robinson option is not picked up by the Rams. So it's funny you said that. So
dude, he's been worse than Eric Flowers, arguably. Yeah. It's sad. It was like, why would you go for this guy when you just watched your own defensive tackle leverage him every single play?
Okay, Sean, I got one question to ask Dilla. I know we got the draft coming. I got one question. Just one question. Hey, Dilla, this is just, you can tell us this. Is there an Aaron Donald or a Geno Atkins in this year's draft? In your opinion?
Are you asking me, is there an undersized guy who
just
could dominate?
No, but production. Anybody you feel they can have the same impact when Aaron Donald came out with Geno Atkins? Anybody?
At the defensive tackle spot, if he gets his act together, Malik McDowell could dominate this league if he gets his act together.
Yeah, he's just a big boy. But yeah, it's hard to find a D tackle around like Aaron Donald's size that's coming out of this year's draft.
And the reason why I say Malik McDowell is because Malik McDowell, I think, is 6'6" and like 285.
Yeah, he's 6'6".
And he played inside at Michigan State, because that's what his coach asked him to do. He could play on the outside as defensive end, as a base end in a 4-3. He could play 3-4. You could line him up at the nose. My problem with him is you talk about Myles Garrett disappearing. His sophomore season when Michigan State went to the national champion, when they went to the Final Four, He had a great sophomore season last season. Oh, he looked terrible. And then he was hurt half the season. He just mailed it in. He looked bad. And then you had some questions about his overall maturity. Like, could he handle – one, was he mailing it in his junior year because he knew he was coming out? And two, can he handle millions of dollars? But if you're asking me, a guy who – because the thing about Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald was not talked up a lot until he won all those defensive awards, until combine season where he was wrecking shop. And guys were like, man, this guy is 6 feet, 6'1", but he's been wrecking people left and right, for the last 2 years at Pittsburgh. So
Right.
I think Malik McDowell could have that similar impact if he gets his act together.
Damn, I can't be a draft. I can't wait.
Look, I think Malik McDowell would be a good fit in Dallas. I really do. I'm not saying that's where he's going to go.
Pies, cakes and pies, cakes and pies.
2 more weeks. Mock draft special.
Well,
I think
Two more
who's
weeks.
your defensive line coach? Marinelli, right?
Yes, sir.
Marinelli could really do something. He would salivate with Malik McDowell. He hasn't had an athlete like that.
Was that something you
Can't wait.
me?
I said McDowell with Collins. Good God.
All right. Well, that note, guys.
Hype me up.
We can't wait for next week. Soon come is the draft. We're gonna have a draft party, like Tim says. Stay tuned for that. Look out for that. We will try again for trivial. What was the reason why Sherman couldn't make it?
Well, just God bless Sherman. And hope everything's fine. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, that being said, we
God
finally
bless.
got next week at the same time, same place. Cold cuts. Pew 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 pew. And we out,
folks.
That's correct.
Just going.
So wait. By the way,